The weight of cold. The first thing you notice isn't the cold itself. It's the silence. At -40 degrees, air becomes dense. Sound dies quickly. Your breath doesn't steam, it crystallizes mid-exhale and falls like dust. The darkness presses down with physical weight, and you realize that cold, this deep, doesn't burn. It simply erases. This is where the body begins to make decisions without you. For most of human history, winter at these temperatures wasn't a disaster. It was a season. Communities survived months in conditions that would kill a modern person in hours. Not because they were stronger, because they understood something we've chosen to forget. They knew that everything you think keeps you alive can kill you. The illusion of shelter. When temperature drops below -40, the mathematics of heat loss become unforgiving. The human body generates roughly 100 watts of heat at rest, about the same as a standard light bulb. In extreme cold, you can lose that heat 30 times faster than you produce it. Building a fire seems obvious, but fire creates a trap. The warmth draws you close. Your front burns while your back freezes. You stop moving. The radiant heat evaporates moisture from your skin, and when you finally move away, when the wood runs out or you need to sleep, that moisture freezes instantly against your flesh. Your core temperature drops faster than if you'd never had the fire at all. The groups who survived understood this. They built fires for cooking, for light, for morale, but not for warmth. The first rule revealed itself through absence, movement over stillness. They never stopped. Even inside shelter, there was constant, low-level activity. Not exercise that produces sweat, which becomes ice against skin, but perpetual motion, rocking, shifting weight, rotating positions. The body, as its own furnace, stoked by motion so subtle it barely registered as effort. Sitting still felt safe. Sitting still was death. The mathematics of bodies. A single human body at rest loses heat to a frozen environment at a predictable rate. Two bodies close together lose heat at roughly 60% of that rate. Three bodies, pressed together in darkness, can maintain survivable core temperature for 8 to 10 hours without external heat source. This is where the second rule emerged, and where modern sensibility breaks down. Proximity over privacy, not symbolic closeness. Actual physical contact. Skin against skin when possible, multiple layers of bodies when necessary. Children in the center, elderly on the outer ring, rotated inward periodically. No space between torsos. Legs intertwined. Breath shared. The psychological cost was immediate and constant. Personal space is a human need nearly as fundamental as warmth. To surrender it completely, hour after hour, night after night, created a specific kind of psychological pressure that communities managed through ritual and structure, designated positions, rotation schedules, understood boundaries about where hands could rest, how bodies could shift, but the discomfort wasn't incidental. It was the point. Comfort made you careless. Comfort made you separate. Comfort stopped you from monitoring your partner's breathing, from noticing when the person against your back had stopped shivering, because when shivering stops, freezing becomes irreversible. The collective body was itself the shelter. The structure around it was just wind protection. The counterintuitive truth. The third rule is the one that modern instinct rejects most violently. Even though the physiology is simple, when core temperature begins to drop, the body restricts blood flow to extremities, fingers, toes, ears, nose all become expendable. The body is making a calculation. Lose the edges to save the center. Frostbite begins at -2 degrees Celsius in exposed tissue. At -40, it can occur in under 5 minutes. The impulse is to protect everything, cover every surface, wrap the face, seal every gap. But sealed air warms from breath. Warm air holds moisture. Moisture accumulates as condensation on the inside of face coverings, clothing, shelter walls. When that moisture freezes, and it will freeze, it creates a layer of ice directly against skin. Ice conducts heat away from the body 25 times faster than air. The groups who survived made a different choice. Sacrifice over protection. They exposed the edges deliberately. Faces remained partially uncovered. Hands emerged from wrappings to do work, then returned. They accepted frostbite as inevitable in extremities, knowing that protecting everything meant losing everything. They knew which parts of the body could be damaged and recovered. They knew which parts, once compromised, meant death. Fingers could be lost. Noses could be sacrificed. The core had to be defended at any cost. Modern medicine calls this maladaptive, unnecessary. But modern medicine assumes rescue, assumes evacuation, assumes there's somewhere warm to go in 72 hours. For communities facing 4 months at -40, there was no extraction. There was only the long mathematics of heat and time, what we chose to forget. When fuel became abundant, when walls could be insulated, when warmth became a commodity rather than a constant negotiation with physics, these rules didn't fade gradually. They were actively abandoned. Because they required something we decided we wouldn't pay anymore. Movement over stillness meant no rest, no true sleep, no solitude. Proximity over privacy meant surrendering the boundary between self and other. Sacrifice over protection meant looking at your own body as a collection of parts with different values, and choosing which parts you could afford to lose. These weren't primitive solutions. They were precise responses to an unforgiving environment. But they cost something that modern life was built to eliminate. Constant, acute awareness of vulnerability. We didn't forget these rules because we evolved past them. We forgot them because we built a world where we wouldn't have to use them. But the cold hasn't changed. The mathematics of heat loss haven't changed. Only our distance from the problem has changed. And distance, like comfort, is a luxury that exists only until it doesn't. The silence returns. The cold remains. And somewhere in the back of genetic memory, the body still knows what we've chosen not to remember. That survival was never about the individual. It was about what you were willing to become when everything else was taken away.